folks, I didn't forget what button to press. It was called suspense. It's time for AvaTalk, your favorite monthly show. I'm talking all things Avatar: The Last Airbender for the next 40 to 50 minutes, let's say. Joining us as always, put your hands together for the one, the only, Acorn Greg. Hello, and me, Mr. Greg. Why did you stop? There we go. That's better. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Greg.
Hello. Let's turn down the music a little bit there. Here we go. It's time. Can you believe it is the last Friday of the month again?
I cannot. I also can't believe it's Friday. I woke up this morning and it's the end of the week and I don't know where the rest of the week went, but we're here now.
Yeah. I woke up and I was like, oh, man, I have so much to do. Good thing it's not the last Friday of the month. Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
Wah, wah.
But we made it. We're here all in one piece. And what are we talking about this wonderful, wonderful episode?
We are talking about fan theories.
Ooh,
this is going to be
again.
Fan Theories Part 2.
Oh, I'm so excited. This has been something I think a lot of people have been asking for. And we didn't want to do Fan Theories Part 1 and 2 back to back. I feel like, I think we both felt like that would have been a little overkill. So we talked about some other things, but we have returned. And
we have.
Now that we're almost done with book 3, I feel like we might be a little more well-informed, or the material might be a little fresher in our minds. So
I hope so.
Yeah.
And there are 2 questions relating to the same character, relating to a recent episode we covered on the podcast. So I'm very excited to talk about those.
Oh, I can't wait. Who do we have first?
First off is Rebecca, who wrote, the reason why Azula was willing to lie and tell Ozai that Zuko killed Aang is that she missed having Zuko around. Even though she enjoys teasing Zuko, I think that she somewhat has a connection with him and that she missed having him around. This can be supported in the later episodes of season 3, specifically the beach and in the finale. This is because it shows Azula's vulnerability and that she is a human being with feelings, much like the rest of the characters, but chooses to show that persona, chooses to show the persona that she shows us. So I wanted to go with this one first because we've seen a lot of Azula recently in the podcast, and your stance on her still hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed. Not one bit. I thought it would for sure change during the beach, but I feel like her comments were insincere. So
you did say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm still
I was so hopeful.
out there. I'm not. Well, granted, we haven't quite covered the Southern Raiders episodes or beyond. So there's still room. There's still time for me to change my mind. But so far, I stand firm that Azula is not my favorite character, and probably not in one of the tops. Like maybe a top 15. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe top 15. Well, I for one am going to find it poetic if we get to the finale and you turn around and go, Acorn, I like Azula now.
I don't see that happening.
That figure.
So
now you'll do it as a joke.
now it'll be like, Acorn, I do not change my mind at all about Azula. She is as two-dimensional as the day I met her. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
It's one of those things. I would love nothing more than to be wrong about Azula. There are a few things in this world where I'm like, no, this opinion is, I don't want to say wrong, but I'm going to say it. This opinion's wrong and you can't change my mind, and I don't want to be wrong about it. This is not one of those times. This is one of those times where I want to be able to fall in love with her and have that same sort of connection that you and so many other listeners have. So
yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see, listeners. We'll see what happens in the finale if Greg changes his mind. But anyway, back to this fan theory.
Yes.
I like this one. I want to subscribe to the fan theory, the headcanon, that Azula actually does miss Zuko when he's away.
I would buy that. I don't see really the evidence that Rebecca's pointing out, but I will say, just being a brother and sister and them being so close in age and them having been so kind of close when they were kids, like they definitely had a relationship. They weren't estranged or anything. So I can see that. And maybe Zuko the other way as well, right? Like he probably misses his sister to some degree, I would imagine. But like, yeah, I think it's fair to say that if you have a sibling that is your play toy, essentially, for lack of a better term, that you would miss them. You would miss that person. Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I think the answer is yes, either way.
Yeah.
Yes, she misses having him around because she likes screwing with him and he's her favorite toy.
Yeah.
Or she misses him because she actually does have a soft spot for him, being the last of her family aside from her dad.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it doesn't really matter because only her mom has disappeared at this point.
That's true. That's true.
And Ira was like off doing whatever. But anyway,
Yeah.
I do think she likes Zuko more than she's letting on. Maybe even to herself.
I would buy that too, mostly because of I don't remember what episode it was, but when she approached Zuko and was like, "Hey, knock it off. Stop visiting Iroh in secret. It's not good for you. Like, someone's going to catch on and things are going to go bad." Like, she didn't have to do that. There was no real benefit to her doing that, right? Like, it wasn't a psychological manipulation, or at least a good one, because you can't really figure out like what she was trying to manipulate at that point. And even now, right? Like, if that was a manipulation, it definitely hasn't come into fruition now. And Iroh's gone, Zuko's gone, everyone's gone. So I would say, I would say yes, she has a soft spot for him, for sure.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you take a sip there. So
I'm not gonna die again on AvaTalk.
Another episode 1 incident.
This happens. I was talking to Acorn about this right before we went live. For whatever reason, the last Friday of every month, right before Acorn and I start the Zoom call, I get a little like thing in, like a little tickle in my throat. And I don't know why. I am live 2 days a week, all month, and this doesn't happen on those other days. So I think it's you, Acorn.
Why would it be me if it doesn't happen on Sundays either when we record?
Oh, that's true.
I think it's AvaTalk. I think you're allergic to AvaTalk.
I'm allergic to brilliant fan theories. That's what it is.
Yep.
That's what it is.
We'll have to find a hypoallergenic version next time.
So much. I would appreciate it. Okay, next one comes from Nicholas. And Nicholas writes, in the Kyoshi Warriors, when you were talking about why Aang doesn't like the fans as a weapon, my thought was he doesn't like them because he's so against killing. And he could sense that in a past life, he had used them to kill before, when Kyoshi accidentally killed Chin, making Kyoshi Island.
Accidentally on purpose? Yeah.
Accidentally on purpose. I killed Chin brutally, and I don't regret it. That was like pretty much the line. It's like, I didn't kill him, I swear. I did, and it was fun. No, she didn't say fun, but might as well, right?
What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think there's more than one way to interpret his unease with using the fans, right? Mm-hmm. Him using them reminded a past version of himself. These were a crutch. Maybe these are murder weapons. I think there's more than one way. Or maybe that the gust that he created was too powerful and he didn't have as much control as he normally does because he is a master airbender at this point. Mm-hmm. So maybe that set him off. This is not one of those theories because we talked about this forever ago. I don't even remember what my initial theory was on it. But I think that any readings into this can be accurate and are not, they don't disclude other theories, right? Like you can be uneasy with something for more than one reason. And this makes sense to me. Yeah. Like she used them to kill Chin, whether it was on purpose or not. She used these during Ba Sing Se and the creation of the Dai Li. Mm-hmm. So, these fans, while they were used for good, were also used for horrific acts and even just like holding, not even her fans, just fans in general. Sure. What about you?
I like thinking that her fans are like haunted in a way.
Yeah.
Like tainted with blood.
Yeah.
There's something creepy or something off about them when Aang picks them up. So yeah, I like to think that he through his avatar connection, recognized the weapons and inherently knew what they did and just got kind of creeped out about it. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I do as well. When I was reading this, I paused for a minute because the word, it says fans, which is the right word, but also in that episode, we'll remember Aang had actual fans. So I was like,
actual girl fans. Yeah.
I was like, is Nicholas talking about? And then as I was reading more, I was like, oh, no, this is not weird. This is just the fans, not the fans.
Aang hated his fans on Kyoshi Island.
I'm pretty sure he really liked them.
Yeah.
But okay. No, but yeah. Which also, there's got to be something there. He had fans on the island, and he did not like using the fans as a weapon. There's got to be something there.
Yeah.
There's got to be something.
You think there's some causation in that correlation right there?
Yeah, there's no way.
Obviously.
There's no way. Well, like, it's too big of a coincidence that, like, this is the only episode that we see, or so far anyways, that we see him having, like, Beatles mania essentially associated with him as the Avatar.
And he just happens to have, like, ornamental weapon fans in the same episode. It's meant to be.
It's feel obvious. Like, I don't know. Anyways, but that my brain just tried to make that connection. Whether it's true or not, it might be a reach, but still, it's very interesting to kind of think about. Okay, what's the next one?
Okay, the next one I'm excited about.
Yes.
Because this one is about Hama. And this fan theory comes from May S, or My S, who writes, I have a theory about the Warden in the Boiling Rock episode. The guard Hama bloodbended back in the day looks similar. Is that why the Warden is so focused on his record? I hope you like it. So,
I did see this. And I did actually look at the picture of the guard that Hama bloodbended. And
I'm so happy. Yep.
In my opinion, you're not going to like my answer. In my opinion, they do not look alike. In my opinion.
You don't think so?
No. Even if you age one up, I don't think so.
Okay.
At least not in any discernible character design fashion. Like, I would imagine that his cheekbones would just be high all the time because the Warden had pretty pronounced cheekbones and the guard did not. It was just kind of like your generic looking firebender guard, the Fire Nation guard. So I love this connection. I just wish I could see it. I cannot.
Gotcha.
Which again is not to say that it's not there. It would make me so happy if this was retconned into being the origin story of the Warden. Like that would be amazing because I think also the character looks just like plain enough that maybe he could be anyone, like get some cheekbone implants, someone does some bone bending, if that's even thing, probably not, but you know, and makes him kind of look that way. But like the Warden looked like a very skinny Danny Trejo to me.
Actually, yes,
right?
He does very much.
And the guard in that episode doesn't have like any of the features that I would attribute to the Warden, other than being a firebender, other than being in the Fire Nation. But again, it's a wonderful theory. And like, I love this like deep diving kind of theory. Like for me personally, the more you stretch a theory, the better. Just like the more times you explain a joke, the better. It gets like 57% funnier. The more connections you can bring into a theory, for me, just makes it incrementally better. So
okay.
Yeah.
I agree with the face. I feel like it's young enough that a lot of aging could change it and make those features more pronounced. But I think we're on the same page when we say that we like this fan theory so much that we want it to be canon. So
canon. I want it to be.
I wonder in the future if that's going to happen.
I don't think we're going to see much of the Warden again, to be honest.
Or even just references. I don't know.
Yeah.
If we get like, I don't know, a show about bloodbending in some way, or bloodbending plays a bigger role. Who knows? We could see Hama again.
That would be really cool. I would love to see Hama again. I just don't think we're going to see the guard again or the Warden because I mean, we'll talk about it some other time. Maybe in the recap of book 3 or the series.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. The next one comes from Marquise W. And they write, since in Korra there are bloodbenders, my theory is that after Hama was captured, she escaped again and fled to the Northern Water Tribe. My train of thought being she couldn't go back to the Southern Water Tribe because the gang would definitely go back. Also, the Northern Water Tribe has a much larger military presence than the South. I don't think Katara would teach bloodbending to any of her future students. What do y'all think? Also, do you think Katara told Pakku about this new ability when she returned to the South? There's a lot in here.
Yeah.
There's a lot in here. Yes.
And so to start off the conversation, in The Puppet Master, we do hear that Hama fled to that village to get away from the Fire Nation when she escaped. And so she kind of lets on the fact that she's been there ever since she escaped and didn't try to go home. But she doesn't explicitly say that. So I want us to talk about this in a what if? What if Hama escaped? She went and terrorized the Northern Water Tribe a little bit, came back to the Fire Nation for some reason, and then wound up in the village that she lives in when we find her in The Puppet Master.
I feel like if she went back to what if she went back to the Southern Water Tribe is what you're saying?
Or that, yeah, and got captured again.
I think if she went back to the Southern Water Tribe, she wouldn't go all the way there. I think she would just go on the outskirts, maybe to that Fire Nation ship that was all deserted, and just set up shop there and just live there in solitary, just close enough to camp that she could feel like some sort of civilization. And also that's kind of her MO, right? Like she doesn't actually live in town. She lives kind of on the outskirts of town a little bit. She has that inn on the outskirts of town. So she'd feel a little more comfortable there, I would think. And actually, I bet you she would become the character, kinda, or there would be an urban myth or legend that Katara's mom kind of told Katara, who then told the group. I wonder if that would add on to that legend or that urban myth. That's what I could see.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
I could see that too.
Yeah. Yeah. If she went to the Northern Water Tribe, I think she'd get promptly kicked out. I think they wouldn't even let her in.
I think so too. Yeah. I think I said Northern Water Tribe at first. I meant to say Southern because I agree. If she went to the Northern Water Tribe, I don't think she would fit in the way that she would want to.
No, yeah.
It's too big of a city. There's too much emphasis on roles and jobs and rankings, I guess, that I don't think she'd be able to slide into that community.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was that one. And then there's another one in here.
I don't think Katara would teach bloodbending to any of her future students. What do you think?
I don't either.
I don't think so either. So this raises an interesting point because Hama and Katara are the two bloodbenders that we know of in the world who at that time. So don't know if Hama would have taught anyone else before Katara got there, or even after Katara got there.
Right.
I know we're going to see bloodbending in Korra, and I know there's a bad guy who bloodbends. That's literally the extent of my knowledge because I have not seen Korra past the first or second season.
Yes.
So it makes me wonder, where did that person learn bloodbending?
Well, bloodbending seems to be something that people just teach themselves through dire circumstances. So I wouldn't.
Do you think it could be?
Yeah,
it could be replicated where someone would find out on accident some way.
Absolutely, yeah. It's kind of actually both subsets of bending that we've seen the origin of come from dire circumstances, right? Toph with metal bending, where she was stuck and she was kind of freaking out a little bit, and then just all of a sudden she sensed the earth, for lack of a better term, in the metal, and then was able to bend it just as easily as earth. The same thing with bloodbending is Hama was in very, very terrible circumstances, for lack of a better term, and kind of realized that even though there wasn't water around, she was still feeling that pull of the tide, so to speak, around people, creatures, when there was a full moon. So she was like, oh, okay, this makes me more powerful. She kind of, whether she knew that or not, she definitely figured that out pretty quickly. And then she realized there's water in not everywhere you think. So then she kind of put that together. I think it's very easy, especially, and I don't know if this is true or not, but if waterbenders can sense water nearby, that's just the next logical step, is sensing a water source, which is a person. or animal or whatever. So I think it can be taught, but we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
And I know HG in the chat says that we'll find out soon. And I assumed so. They would have explained the bloodbending more in Korra. So I cannot wait to get there.
I know.
But to specifically answer the last of these two questions, do I think Katara taught bloodbending to any of her future students? No, I don't think she would let herself teach anyone else.
Yeah.
And then do we think that Katara told Paku about this new ability when she returned to the South? And yes, I think she would have told Paku about it because she respects him. He is her master. They've become friends. He's now her step granddad. I think that as adults, as master waterbenders, they would have talked about it at least. Yeah.
I can't see a reality where Paku's like, tell me all about everything that you've done. And Katara's like, I'm going to leave this bit out because he would need to know, him being the one responsible for training a lot of the waterbenders, if not all the waterbenders in the Northern Water Tribe. He would need to know a defense against that, or at least be aware of the fact that this thing exists.
Possibility.
Yeah, whether he's going to do it or not, he needs to know about it. So I think that she would tell Paku for sure.
Yeah, at least have a conversation about it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Like, hey, there's this thing called bloodbending. It's really cool. People are your puppets. Don't use it. It's very dangerous and it makes you feel ucky afterwards.
It makes you feel ucky.
It makes you feel all weird inside. And it's also painful for the other person. So there's also that.
Yeah. Well, I was laughing because I think both parties feel yucky.
Yeah.
If they're not.
Yeah, you're right.
If the bender isn't wanting to do it, it's like gross on both sides.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. You're very right. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Who's
All right. Our next theory comes from Devante, who wrote, OMG, 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 OMG. I just woke up and had a revelation.
Ooh.
So with the data and info we currently have on the different avatars throughout history, what if the avatar only dates or marries women? Because the first avatar, assuming was a heterosexual male interested in women, that spirit was carried on to each avatar after that as well. Think about it. Aang, Katara, Roku, Ta Ming, Kyoshi, Rangi, Kuruk, Umi, and Yang Chen didn't have a love interest, maybe because her lifestyle was more aligned with the seclusive monks. So this is a really interesting theory. And while we haven't met all of these characters yet, for instance, we haven't gotten to the Kyoshi novels quite yet, so we will get to that relationship soon. I like the idea of this theory, especially since later on, seeing how things work out with Korra, I like that thought. It's kind of cool to think like there's an imprint of the original Avatar, and that imprint kind of carries through all of the other incarnations, similar to like the memories and abilities of the Avatar. So I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, I really like it. And it makes sense. Anything that like kind of has that extra connection to their past incarnations, like you said, I'm really for. And using reincarnation as that like point to be like, okay, this is the original Avatar. We know that everything about him ripples through the other incarnations of the Avatar. It might not be everything, but like most of it does. Or I don't want to say this. I'm not like verbalizing this correctly. I think everything ripples through all of the avatars, but not necessarily in that order. So having that one thread that kind of goes through all of them as a consistency really makes sense. And why not have it be their sexual identity? Why not? Right?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think at this point we don't have any evidence of an avatar being with a guy.
That's true.
Like married to a male partner. Yeah. So who knows? And I mean, in our last episode of AvaTalk, we talked about some of the shows and content we want to see come out of Avatar Studios. And one of our ideas was just more previous avatars. What did other avatars do throughout the years and the eons and the centuries and whatever? It'd be really cool to see potentially that thread held up and become canon. So maybe we'll have a definitive answer soon.
Maybe
soon, as in like the next 10 years.
I hope they don't like just disprove this theory altogether. Be like, Yang Chen had a husband. It's like, no, you were so close. You were so
Yep.
close. I just had a thought as you were talking.
Okay.
What if we do an all-toff episode of AvaTalk, and do you know what we call it?
AvaTalk.
AvaTalk! Come on!
Do you want to have a tough episode of AvaTalk
Well,
just because of the pun?
well, yes, of course I do. But I don't have great ideas all the time. We'll leave it up to chat. We'll leave it up to the comments. We already have one from Bevo saying he needs it. If you're watching this after the fact and you're watching it on the YouTube over at youtube.com/avatar the podcast, I almost said twitch.tv. That's how I'm used to that. I'm saying.
I know. That's your day job.
youtube.com/avatar the podcast. Go ahead and leave a comment. You want AvaTalk. That's what we're going to do. And if we get enough, then we'll do an episode of AvaTalk as AvaTalk. I can't even say, I'm now saying AvaTalk, and that's the musical episode. So that's going to be, that's what that's going to be. Okay. So sorry, it completely derailed us. But as soon as you said that, you said AvaTalk, I was like, what if we did AvaTalk? And what if we got Michaela Jill Murphy on? What if we just saying.
That would be kind of amazing.
That'd be
we
amazing.
Might try that.
Everyone just tweet at her.
Hey, you should really do a special AvaTalk episode with Booster Greg and Acorn Band. And she's going to be reading it going, who? What?
Who? With the what? And the, what kind of name?
And the where?
Huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised though that you got AvaTalk from what I said, because I've had this like cold all week and I feel stuffy. Like it's hard to form words because my mouth is like, I don't know,
that
sore
wasn't a
or something.
dig at you. This is the second time where Acorn thinks I'm just like digging and picking at things she's saying.
It's because I'm very conscious of how I'm talking. I'm really focusing on how to form my words.
Okay. Well, that's the opposite of me. I'm never conscious of anything I'm saying ever. So that's worked out great so far. Anyways, all right. So what were we talking about? Were we going on to the next one? Okay. Next one.
Yeah, next fan theory.
The next fan theory comes from Samantha K, and Samantha writes, I'm Team Suki, but in my opinion, if Yue didn't become the moon, there could have been a very real possibility that Sokka would have stayed with the Northern Water Tribe. I'm sure, I don't want to finish reading this already, but I will, Samantha, for you. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they would find a way to be together, and I believe Sokka would have comfortably continued his life because the patriarchal roles of the Northern Water Tribe aligned closely with his own personal beliefs. Yes, I remember. She puts in quotations that, remember, Sokka was a real piece of in book one. And she didn't say that, but I'm paraphrasing. Yes, I remember that in book one, Sokka is very different from books 2 and 3, and he was very sexist. Okay, anyways. I also think that while Suki thought Sokka was cute, there's no way that she would have been happy with a book 1 Sokka. He needed to go on his journey with Aang and to grow as a person, to open his eyes to the abilities of fellow warrior women, his own sister, Toph, even facing Azula's trio, etc., and become a skilled master of his own craft. Book 1 Sokka would have lived happily ever after with Yue, but the Sokka we truly love is a better, more developed version and fits with Suki. I think you're wrong. Sokka never ends up with with Yue ever. Period.
This is hang on,
okay.
Greg.
Yeah, I'm hanging on.
All right. First of all, Samantha's Team Suki, so she's our friend.
I know. I'm giving her.
Second of all,
yeah.
Put your Marvel what if hat on.
You watching way too much what if.
And then think about it. Think about it.
Think about. Okay. That was a dig at you. That was a dig at you.
I know.
Okay. So yeah. So if Sokka, I don't think there's a world where Sokka stays in the Northern Water Tribe, though. I honestly don't.
Oh, I do.
I don't.
It would be the perfect what if story. Like if Avatar Studios came out with a what if show for Avatar, this would be one of them.
But like he's already started to develop as a character by the time he gets to the Northern Water Tribe.
Yes, but it's not past the point of no return. I believe if he had stayed for Yue, all of his progress would have been lost because he would have been in that culture.
I don't think he would have abandoned his sister though, and Aang. I think the greater calling of like being with the Avatar, and like I think he's got some pride in that. Like he is this warrior who kind of failed the Southern Water Tribe. Like Zuko kicks him aside like no big deal, right? Right in episode 2, I think that was. So I think now that he has a purpose, like he feels very fulfilled from that purpose. I think more so than like having a girlfriend, even if she's a princess.
Okay, let's up the ante then.
Okay.
What if it wasn't just getting a princess girlfriend? What if during the siege of the Fire Nation, what if Han died? Her love interest. I think his name is Han. Pretty sure. What if he died in the battle and Sokka is one of the heroes and saves the day? Yue tells her dad how she feels about Sokka. And then her dad, after thinking about it, is like, well, he is kind of a prince of the Southern Water Tribe. So son of the chief, why not? You two are engaged.
I think.
What if that was sitting in front of him instead?
I don't think it's within his character to leave, to abandon this quest. But if Bryke shone down from the heavens, from the spirit world itself, and they were like, hold on, can I get this? I think I want this and a little bit of this. If they were like, Greg, Sokka would definitely leave Team Avatar for UA and the Northern Water Tribe, then I guess let's just pretend they said that so I can just like get all of those like feelings aside.
But you can say that about any of these.
That's true. You can.
Bryke says
this, and that's true, right? But that's the only way that I can get around like this roadblock that I've created in my head. I think that you're right, and that our dear friend Samantha is right. That like he would be a much different Sokka, and he wouldn't grow. He wouldn't be the one that we know. He would be a great warrior, I think, still. But he wouldn't be a sword master for sure, right? Like he wouldn't be nearly as good of a warrior, for lack of a better term, I guess. So
sword master.
Yeah. So I think that I think what Samantha is really trying to get to the point of, and I'm probably misreading this totally wrong, incorrectly, but I feel like the fact that Yue died actually helped him develop as a character more so.
Well, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
The loss of her catapulted him into his character arc.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely did.
Yep.
So, and I've talked myself into a corner that I can't get out of. So I'm gonna just defer to you. So
I like it.
What do you think? You like it? Okay.
I think he would.
Yeah.
I think if there was enough reason for him to stay in the Northern Water Tribe, I think he would. So specifically the scenario that I built where Han dies, Yue needs a husband, the chief thinks he's a hero and actually a prince, sure, we'll take it, and he gives his blessing and they get married, and that's enough reason. Also, what if in exchange for Sokka, because Sokka's not a
Marvel's gonna sue us, I'm just telling you right now.
What if they traded out Sokka for another Water Tribe person? What if the gang was not Katara, Sokka, Aang, and Toph? What if it was Katara, Aang, Toph, and Water Tribe
and
boy?
Cabbage Merchant. Gotcha.
And Cabbage Merchant.
Cabbage Merchant. The
yes,
real hero
he buried
of the
all of his cabbages up into the Northern Water Tribe.
That was it. He started growing snow cabbages. And
snow cabbages.
Snow cabbages. And it was not any more successful than normal Cabbage Merchant. Yeah, that was it. That's my headcanon now.
His legacy would end there.
Yeah.
He gives up cabbages to go off with Team Avatar.
I wonder who it would be though if we went that route and we're like, all right, so it has to be a non-bending water bender that has to average or even out the group. Do you think it'd be a swamp bender?
Ooh.
So at that point, swamp bending was book 2. So at that point, Sokka would have been gone. They're several episodes deep into book 2. They're looking for a new warrior or something. So maybe it's a swamp bender that doesn't actually bend. That'd be actually kind of a cool character.
Who wants to go off on an adventure and see the world?
Yeah.
Past the swamp.
Very spiritual, so we can have that kind of connection with Aang versus just being a goofball with Aang.
Yeah. I
can see
love that.
That'd
Okay.
be really cool.
Okay. So this is what we need to do now.
Yeah.
We need to write this what if story,
Mhm.
this Avatar verse, what
Mhm.
if,
Mhm.
and talk about it in an AvaTalk.
Instead of what if, we're going to call it instead of.
There you go.
There.
Let's
different enough.
also take we'll take the Marvel logo and we'll just change it to, I don't know, Avaverse.
She says water if. Water if.
Water if. Yep.
Well done. Well done.
One of those.
Yes.
Regardless, we'll have to write this what if story
Mhm.
and talk through an AvaTalk, because we're enjoying our secret podcast character bios so much.
Yeah.
I think you and I could collaborate and come up with a really cool story.
I think also that, and this is a little spoiler for future AvaTalk episodes, we're collecting fan fictions that people have written about stupid things that we've said. Like, everyone remember Turbo? We've gotten some art and some stories about Turbo. We're gonna put this one out there. This water if a swamp bender who could not water bend joined Team Avatar instead of Sokka.
Okay.
That's it. So if anyone out there wants to write that and send it in, we will include it on a future episode of AvaTalk when we cover fan fictions and all that good stuff.
Yes. Also, if you want to submit your what if
That too.
prompts,
Water if. Come on.
we okay, fine. Okay, it's
What's
trademarked.
that?
We're done.
What's that, Paul Feige? It's at my door, knocking down my door.
Okay. Water if. Submit your water if proposals, suggestions, ideas, queries, any of them.
Well, you know,
Give them to us, and we'll do an episode.
HG just gave us the name of that segment. It's going to be called Story Bending.
Oh my God.
Well done.
Okay.
My hat tip. If I was
Wow.
wearing a hat, it would tip to you.
Golf
Well
clap.
done. Indeed. Okay.
Story bending.
That's the next one. More from Samantha. Samantha continues to write, I believe one of the reasons why Ozai burned his son was not only so Zuko would learn his lesson, but also to show that in Ozai's kingdom. I almost said kitchen.
Ozai's in the kitchen. Yep.
Plenty of people get burned when Ozai is in the kitchen, but we're talking about Ozai's kingdom. And there's no mercy in Ozai's kingdom extended to any subject. If he could burn his own son, no one would be exempt or spared. Contrast that with Azula's Agni Kai against Zuko. I believe this makes Azula's reaction to defeat her. That's a little bit of a spoiler. Her defeat. Sorry, you're right. Sorry. I believe that this makes Azula's reaction to her defeat in the final book even more tragic. Remember, she smiled and delighted at Zuko's burning. It feels like that moment was the final straw that broke her. In Ozai's kingdom, there is no such thing as grace or mercy to any subject, including his loyal daughter. But she was spared and then given mercy from her brother and Katara, who she actively conspired against. Interesting. What do you think?
I like the concept that in Ozai's kingdom, there is no mercy, regardless of who you are. Yeah, he doesn't like Zuko that much. Zuko is definitely not his favorite, but I think Ozai's the kind of person who would run his kingdom that way. No mercy. So even if like Azula did something he didn't like, I think he would still punish her in some very pronounced way. Maybe not branding her with his firebending, but something.
Yeah.
Because I think that's just the kind of ruler that he is.
Yeah, and he definitely has favorites, right? Like, Zuko's not his favorite, so I think that kind of added to his willingness to permanently scar his child, versus Azula, who I think sees more of himself and is like, oh, I don't want to, anything that like would deface him, he doesn't want to do. So like, you know, his daughter's pride and joy, he doesn't want to like permanently mark, let's say. I believe it. You know what I mean?
Also, the fact that Azula is Ozai's favorite. So I like to think that her very ruthless, no mercy approach was learned from her father, which I think is kind of implied with the way that she turned out.
Yeah.
Very, very different from Ursa. So obviously that Sozin influence is coming through the bloodline.
Yeah.
But I do think she learned that lesson from her father, which is also why later in the book, she can't accept forgiveness.
Yeah.
The way that we'll eventually see her not be able to do, which no more details because it is kind of spoilery, but yeah.
I mean, it's also, again, entirely possible that she is broken at a genetic level, much like her father was, much like his father before him, right? Like there's something being passed down there, and we're giving it a more kind of spiritual name by saying it's Sozin, right? It's that Sozin bloodline versus the Roku bloodline. So and something like that. Like I'm not a mental illness expert or anything, but my understanding is that it doesn't affect everyone in the family. It can affect some people, not others. So that I think that's what we're seeing is mental illness throughout this family bloodline. And fortunately, Zuko was just kind of spared from it. I mean, he has his own issues, definitely, but like not this just inherent, just like break in a psyche. Like to me, Ozai seems like a sociopath. Like all we've seen him is laughing from flames and with no regard for his own child, right? So like that kind of thing. And I think his father, or not his father, his grandfather, Sozin was his grandfather, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. His grandfather was like, I think he was just a psychopath. Like he just pretended to be, in my opinion, Roku's friend. He was pretending to be this noble and kind prince. And when the moment came, he was like, well, I don't have to pretend anymore. So he stopped. He's like, I can do whatever I want.
Interesting theory. Yeah. I could definitely see that. I can also see what we've been talking about, just that like genetic something.
Yeah.
In their system that gets tripped, and then it just breaks and they become the person that we eventually see them to be. Yeah, I could see either way.
Yeah,
I mean, he seemed to care for Roku as a teenager, but we only really saw him around Roku until he was an adult.
He was very charismatic with Roku, which is what sets that like little like red flag in my mind off now that we're really kind of talking about this, because based on all the murder mysteries and true crime things that I watched and listened to, granted, my wife has watched and listened to a lot more, but the ones that I've seen, it's always been like this charismatic young man, and he was just like so nice and so forgiving, and he couldn't possibly, exactly, and that's what you would describe as Sozin in that first moments with Roku in that episode of the Avatar and the Fire Lord. So, very charming, seems charismatic, and same thing with Azula. She's very charismatic when she wants to be. Yep. But she doesn't
in a ruthless, intimidating, cutthroat kind of way. But
sure. But like, look at her with like, actually,
in Ba Sing Se, actually, when she was buttering up, why am I blanking on his name?
Long Feng,
yes.
Or Kue, maybe. No, she didn't really talk to Kue. It was Long Feng,
Before she double crossed him.
I know you're talking about. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, it's just like interesting to kind of think about that with that lens of like, take out the it's very easy to put the mysticism and all the magical stuff and the bending in it, but just take it down to a human level. Like there's just something wrong with that bloodline in terms of like a genetic mental state. Something. Yeah. So
that's just
interesting.
That's only made stronger with nurturing. Nurturing that quality.
Yeah.
Here, let's give you a crown and give you the title of ruler of this country. Go off, do your rulering things, and then he ends up trying to take over the world.
Yeah. Okay. Next one?
Yes.
Okay.
Next one comes from Lunar Stargate, who writes, at the end of The Painted Lady, where the Painted Lady appears, my headcanon was always that the health of the river was directly linked to the health of its spirit. I always took it as she became weak when the factory moved in and couldn't recover because the river was getting polluted. I love that theory. I subscribe to that theory. And I'll be honest, I do not remember if we talked about that at the end of The Painted Lady. I think we did touch on the environmental message. If we did talk about this, I think we did kind of land there. with that being our theory that the Painted Lady wasn't around until the very end because she couldn't be because the river was so polluted. So I will say, Lunar, that has always been my headcanon since the very first time I watched that episode. So I love it.
Yeah. My headcanon still makes a little more sense to me personally, where it was a matter of belief, right? Where, which I think is kind of like tied to Lunar Stargates a little bit here, where they were saying that, I don't know, maybe it's like the belief is directly correlated to the health of the river. But for me, it's always like that Tinkerbell situation for Hook.
I do believe in fairies.
Yeah.
I do.
If you don't believe in a deity, that deity is no longer going to exist. That's like the power of a god. It comes from its worshipers.
Right. Yeah.
So,
which is like the whole premise of American Gods.
Yeah.
But I think the two things are very much intertwined, because if the Painted Lady couldn't be around because the river was polluted, she came back once the river wasn't polluted, but it was also through that course of time that the villagers started erecting her statues again and paying attention to her and talking about her. So it could have actually been a combination of both.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think that my fan theory doesn't negate Lunar's and vice versa. Like I think it could be very well both,
exactly.
right? But I do like that. I do actually really like Lunar's too, though. That's a really cool way to think about it, is like, yeah, she's so, the spirit, the Painted Lady is so tied into the river that like when the river's dying, she's dying. Like there's something very, oh my God.
It's very Spirited Away. It's very Studio
It's the story
Ghibli.
of Heibai. I think I've literally just convinced myself that I like Lunar Stargate's fan theory more than mine, because it's canon, right? Like Heibai was like, became this horrendous monster because, or maybe not, maybe I just talked myself back into my own.
Well, I can see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Heibai was wandering outside of his land because he was so upset about his forest being destroyed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see the parallels there.
But then, so why didn't the Painted Lady become a vengeful spirit instead of just going away?
Who knows? She could have been. She was off terrorizing the next town over.
No,
she couldn't be around her river.
We would have seen that. I feel like
she would have. Okay, I know where she went. She went to the bathhouse.
Oh, the bathhouse.
And was yep.
Yeah.
Met Chihiro on her way. Yeah.
Went to some clean water at the bathhouse.
Yeah, Chihiro got her a bath token, and fixed her, and she came back. It was, just perfect timing.
All right,
serendipitous.
All right. I mean, you could argue that just because one spirit became vengeful doesn't mean all spirits will become vengeful as well, right?
That too, yeah.
Like that might be like Heibai is a animal spirit, so like
also tied to the earth.
Tied to the earth
versus like water, rivers.
So different. Actually, that's a very, very good point. We discussed on Avatar the podcast that, people who bend a certain element exhibit traits of that element. Like Toph is very stubborn, right? So she's very stuck in her ways, and like she's very tough and like earth-like. Like she doesn't move. She doesn't move for anyone. A boulder doesn't move for anyone, right? It moves because something causes it to, but it's not like you want me to move, fine. It could be like that. So Heibai being a spirit of earth nature gets angry, like you're destroying this, I'm not moving, you're moving, like this is my area, versus water, very fluid, very go with the flow kind of deal. So it's kind of like, well, this is very dark, I guess I'll just die, thank you. Like that's kind of the Painted Lady.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, she was like Ophelia-ing on the bottom of her river.
Yeah. So yeah, it makes okay. Yeah. All right, I'm fine with that now. I've talked myself back into it. I still like mine, but I think I like mine because of the connection to American Gods, and I like watched season 1 and was in love, and I'm not gonna watch season 2 because I hear it's not great. Anyways, we have one last one, right?
Which I think you put in there. I found this theory at the end of my notes.
Oh.
And so tell us where this came from, Greg.
I don't remember. I'm going to read it and hope I remember. So this one note says, this is from past Greg. We can't trust past Greg. Trust present Greg on this one. If you're watching, I understand if you're watching this on YouTube, I am actually past Greg right now. Don't worry about it.
No.
Wink. Something past Greg, classic past Greg. So past Greg wrote down for fan theory part 2. Fan theory. Waterbenders can not only redirect lightning, but manipulate it, using themselves as a human wire and using the water in their body as a conductor, having the electricity come in through their hand and out through the opposite hand's pointer finger. I don't feel I wrote this. I think I copy and pasted this from someone. I don't know who it's from, so I apologize.
Okay.
If they're watching this.
I didn't think this came from you because it seemed like a copy paste situation.
There's no puns in there. Like it's definitely not from me.
Yeah.
But
also, past Greg didn't give any credit. So, man, that guy's a jerk.
He's such a jerk. Someone should just call him a jerk and say that he talks too much and then give him a 2-star review and talk about Captain America. I think it's true, though.
No one's bitter here.
No one's bitter at all. I don't look at that review late at night and just curse the heavens. I think it's right, though. Waterbenders can redirect lightning and manipulate it, because if electricity is conducted through water, yeah.
Yes, this raises an interesting question. Whether or not they can redirect it, because we learned from Iroh in Bitter Work that he learned the technique of lightning redirection after studying the waterbenders and noticing the flow in their style.
Yeah.
So he learned the form from the waterbenders and came up with a concept himself and knew to ground the lightning in his core, like his stomach,
Yeah.
before redirecting it so you don't get fried.
Right.
I don't know if the waterbenders, being waterbenders and their affinity with water, meaning that they would fry more easily.
Maybe not like redirect it like the traditional sense, but like let's say Azula is attacking Katara with a lightning blast, right? With lightning generation.
Yeah.
Who's to say that Katara can't make a water shield and then have the water that is now like zapping with electricity and throw it back at her?
That would be a really cool animation.
Yeah, right.
A wave of water
with lightning around it.
A bolt of lightning.
Yeah.
And it goes through the water into the bender and then back out. And they give, they attack with basically an energized water blast.
Yeah, it would be electrified water.
Yeah.
Oh.
It would be, you know, that time you drop your hair straightener into the bathtub, you know, it's just a little tingly now.
Yeah. Just your hair stands up a little straighter. That's all. There we go. I feel like, and HG is bringing this up in chat, you could really do this with any of the elements, not just lightning, but and any of them, right? Like lava bending, we kind of had that argument of, is it fire, is it earth? And ultimately, I think we're in Korra, we've learned that it lands on earth, but it could just as easily be fire. Airbending could just
I think
easily...
it landed in water.
I thought it was earth.
Water. Jeez, what is my brain doing? I think it's fire.
I thought it was earth. A lot of people thought it said earth.
No, I think it's earth. Okay.
Yeah. But like you could say that about firebending and airbending. Like we think we have. And even waterbending and airbending to an extent. If with airbending you can control the temperature, you could just seep out all of the hot air and leave only cold air, therefore freezing that area and burning the other area. Like, a skilled enough bender can do all of them. And I think that skilled enough bender is the Avatar. And that's why the Avatar exists, because the Avatar understands and is able to fundamentally use all of these abilities at such a connected and base level that it just works. And like Iroh is so close. He was so close to figuring it out. But ultimately, here's a fan theory. Do you think that maybe the Avatar isn't the only person who can bend all 4 elements, but it just comes easier to them through the Avatar spirit? And that Iroh was really close, but because he's no longer a proud man, he stopped himself because he realized, to quote the famous scientist Ian Malcolm, well, to paraphrase Ian Malcolm, just because he could doesn't mean that he should. And he didn't create dinosaurs from that mosquito. I mean,
we need to take that quote away from you. That's the 3rd time you used that quote this month.
At least. It's a great quote. It's pertinent to so many things in life and Avatar. But it's kind of like, and I think ultimately it's no, because like Greg is very strict on who can bend all 4 elements, but like going down this rabbit hole kind of just shows how connected everything is. And if you just take a moment to stop and think about it, use your neutral Jing and think about it. You can really kind of see the connections there.
I think Hugh would agree with you, right?
Hugh,
I always get the swamp benders mixed up. Hugh is
there's Hugh, Do. There's no Lou though, because I always get that mixed up. Because I'm like, oh, it's like but no, that's not like Disney's DuckTales. No, it's Nickelodeon's. It's
I always forget the third one.
It's Hugh, Do, and
Do. Yes.
Do. Yeah.
Hugh, Do, and
I can't remember the last one either.
I forget. Yep.
But I think it sounds like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
If they would just make a swamp bender show, I'd be able to learn their names and remember them because they're going to be they would be in more than one episode.
I know.
Well,
you know what I realized? When we do the live show, we just forget everyone's names. But when we're recording, we just remember everyone's names.
And we can Google. Yeah.
And we can Google. Yeah, that's fine. No, we know them off the top of our head. We're very knowledgeable, Acorn. We know.
Oh, sorry.
It's
yes, of course.
It's the easiest podcast that Rob has to edit because there's just one take. There's no breaks. There's no
one take.
No jumbling
Absolutely
words.
No mistakes.
Yep. There's no AvaTalk, but that's where the magic happens, is the mistakes.
Yeah.
So thank goodness we have the live show. I think that's everything that we have.
That is it for the second batch of fan theories. Now, this does bring us up to date with our fan theories. So we didn't find any others in our email. So if you all want to participate and start sending us new fan theories, potentially about Korra, or anything else related to the Avatar universe, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll compile them for another episode.
Well, maybe not Korra yet, because we're not going to get to Korra for quite some time.
That's true.
Because
there's a surprising amount of comics.
Yes, there's a lot of comics
and the Kyoshi novels.
So hold off on the Korra stuff for now.
I mean, we could archive them.
Yeah, but we're gonna get spoilers then.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the executive decision in the 50% split of ownership that we have here and say hold off on Korra for now, please. Just because, again, Acorn and I have only seen. I thought I saw 2 books. I only saw 1. I definitely saw 1. So we've only seen the 1. Really don't want any spoilers other than I know that book 2 isn't great or considered great by a lot of the fandom. I think it gets a lot better later on. We'll get there. We'll get through it together and it'll be fun. It'll be amazing. There'll be puns. I'm sure I'll come up with a new shtick by that point as well to add on to it.
You get to use your radio announcer.
You get to use the radio announcer voice.
Thing.
That's going to be it. It's going to be so annoying for Rob and I cannot wait to record them all. It's going to be great. Yes, but fan theories you have about the Avatar: The Last Airbender series, if you've read the comics, if you've read the Kyoshi novels, for sure, bring them on in.
We do have two fan theories based out of the Kyoshi novels that I have tucked away.
Oh, nice.
So we're 2 up.
Good.
2 into the third installment of this.
Yeah. And as a reminder, if you are coming in for the first time, you're coming in late, this video will be uploaded to the youtube.com/Avatar the podcast. I'll also highlight it under this channel as well, so you can watch that under the collections later. And we do this show live on the last Friday of every month. So the next one is going to be October 29th. We might not do one for December because that will be New Year's Eve. So we're probably not going to do it in December. Yeah. I'm just going to say that right there. You've been warned about that. But yeah, this is something that Acorn and I look forward to every month, and it sneaks up on us every month. And we're always every time. And we're always just like, yes, like it's AvaTalk night. And we love talking about these theories. So email us, avatarthepodcast@gmail.com. If you sneak them in a 5-star review that we read live on, or not live on the show. I always say live on a pre-recorded podcast.
I know you do. It was live for us at the time.
It was live. It's live
past
for
Greg
us.
Was live.
Past Greg, you can't trust him ever. He's always live. No wonder you can't trust him. But yeah, that's going to be it. We're going to play the intro in a minute. But if you're watching live over twitch.tv/BoosterGreg, which is where AvaTalk is now, stay tuned, because we got more content here. Okay, say bye to everyone, Acorn.
Bye.
Bye.